Hey guys, it's time for artful reading. So today we're going to read a story called Pumpkin Town. And this is a pretty funny one. I think you're going to enjoy it. Get my book up here on the screen. All right, get myself out of the way so you can see everything. Pumpkin Town, it's written by Katie Mackay and it's illustrated by Pablo Bernasconi. Looks like a lot of pumpkins, doesn't it? They also say at the bottom, the title of the book is Pumpkin Town, but then in parentheses it says, or nothing is better and worse than pumpkins. Let's see how pumpkins are better and worse. Jose and his family grew pumpkins. That growing began with shiny seeds, which were followed by long vines, and those vines grew every which way. The pumpkins grew every which way too, from small to fat and tall. Pumpkins must be different sizes, huh? The Jack-be-littles could drop into pockets. They must be super teeny if they can drop into pockets, huh? The Happy Jacks were bigger. A strong enough boy could carry just one. The Big Moons were bigger still, too large for 5 boys to roll. That's a pretty big pumpkin, isn't it? Come fall, Jose and his family would gather the pumpkins and collect the vines. Then 2 trucks took the fruit to faraway cities. What fruit? They mean the pumpkins, don't they? Okay, that's the fruit that comes from that plant, from the pumpkin vines. Some were hollowed and carved, and some were saved for pies. But before the trucks took the pumpkins, Jose and his family saved a few. They needed the seeds. When it came to saving pumpkins, Jose's father always said, "Save only the best and sell the rest." So Jose and his brothers hollowed the best pumpkins and saved only the biggest, brightest seeds. I like how they illustrated this book. It looks like they almost took actual pictures and combined them with some drawings, huh? Pretty neat. They took the duller, smaller seeds to the edge of the field overlooking the town and tossed them. But one gusty, dusty October day, when Jose and his brothers took the lesser seeds to the edge of the field and flung them, the wind caught those seeds and carried them and didn't let them loose until they fell like rain down on the distant town. The seeds slipped into straw roofs and settled into flower pots and sprinkled gardens. And that seemed to be the end of it. So they threw those seeds out and they went all over the town. And that's it, right? Is that all that's going to happen? What about next spring? But the next spring, rain awoke those small seeds and plants began. More rain fell and vines grew every which way. They wrapped around chimneys and wound through corn. At first, the townspeople liked the vines, for they were lovely and delicate. But then the vines began to climb, up and down and around, growing leafy and thick. They snaked green and silent through one window and then out another. Why do you think the vines started out as very delicate? Delicate means like they were really nice and small, very thin probably, easily broken. And then it says they became what? They were leafy and thick. Why would the vines get thicker and not stay nice and delicate? What's going to grow on them? Okay, there we go. I think those thick vines are starting to get on people's nerves. What do you think? But pumpkins need a big, strong vine to grow on, don't they? Then the fruit grew and grew and grew every which way. Soon the townspeople were stepping over pumpkins and around pumpkins and under pumpkins. It was hard to walk even a block. Rooftops sagged under the weight of big moons. Remember how many boys it took to move a big moon? Fences fell, and when the wind blew, one had to dodge Happy Jacks and Jack-be-littles falling from trees. Nothing is worse than pumpkins, groaned the townspeople. They've had enough of the pumpkins, haven't they? They're everywhere. Meanwhile, up on their mountainside, Jose and his family cut and stacked their pumpkins, saving only the best. And when they were done, they stepped back and said, "Nothing is better than pumpkins." Why do Jose and his family like the pumpkins? That's how they earn their money, isn't it? But when Jose and his family looked down at the town, it looked odd. It seemed so green and orange. Look at the town. It's just about glowing from all those pumpkins, isn't it? Since their field work was done, and because Jose and his brothers were curious, they walked to town the next day, where they saw more vines and pumpkins than they'd ever imagined. They remembered the gusty, dusty day that they'd scattered their seeds. "It's our fault," whispered Jose. "We must do something," whispered his brothers. "We rest for now," whispered Jose. You see what happened, what they caused. He says we're going to rest now. What do you think his plan is? Let's see what he does. But that night, Jose and his brothers cut and stacked pumpkins and vines. They worked as quietly as they could, but some townspeople still sneaked peeks. They marveled at how well the brothers worked. The brothers climbed up poles and twined through trees and snaked silent through one window and out another, gathering and stacking pumpkins and vines. When the townspeople awoke, they discovered a mountain of pumpkins and a hill of vines and a mound of tired brothers. Look at the tired brothers right here. There's their mountain of pumpkins and the hill of vines. While the brothers slept, the townspeople filled a wagon with hay and set 5 great watermelons between Jose and his brothers in thanks for their aid. Do you know what that means? To aid someone means to help them. They helped. That wagon took the brothers back to their home, where they were laid in the glossy grass, still sleeping. When their father found them there, he asked them what they had done to deserve these great watermelons. "We just helped the townspeople with their harvest," the brothers said, which was true, and nothing more was said. So they didn't tell their dad that they think they made a mistake and threw all those pumpkin seeds out and messed up town, right? But they did fix it, didn't they? Down in the town, 5 trucks came for the mountain of pumpkins, and the townspeople were given a grand sum of money for all that fruit. "Ah, nothing is better than pumpkins," they said. Now, wait a minute. A few pages back, those townspeople said that nothing was worse than pumpkins, didn't they? And now they like those pumpkins. The work is finished and their roads and their houses are clear from pumpkins, and so now they're okay with it because they got some money. Much of the money went toward a feast held around a bonfire made by burning the hill of vines. It was decided then that the rest of the pumpkin money would be spent to carve a statue of the 5 mysterious brothers who had made a mountain of pumpkins. They look pretty happy with that bag of money, don't they? Oh, look at Jose and his brothers. I think they're enjoying what the townspeople gave them. What do you think? It took all of the next week for the townspeople to repair their roofs and their fences. And it took all of that week for Jose and his brothers and his father to eat their great gifts. The melons were so sweet that Jose and his family said, "Nothing is better than watermelons." "Be careful with the seeds," Jose's father said. "Our field grows pumpkins, not watermelons." So Jose's family filled a great bowl with seeds, and those seeds were forgotten until a day later when the wind roused Jose's father at night. The wind roused Jose's father. It means it woke him up. He feared that some of those watermelon seeds might be blown into their field. Uh-oh. What's going to happen if watermelon seeds get blown into their field? That might not be okay, right? By moonlight, he carried the bowl to the edge of his field and he tossed the seeds. The wind caught those seeds and carried them and didn't let them loose until they fell like rain down on the town. Uh-oh. I think I've heard of that happening before. The watermelon seeds slipped into straw roofs and settled into flower pots and sprinkled gardens and slid into the soil around the statue of Jose and his brothers. And that seemed to be the end of it. Is that the end of it? What could the next book be called after Pumpkin Town? If we wrote another story that followed this one, think about the ending. What would happen next? And what could we call that book? Love it. All right, you have a paper in your packet that is about the life cycle of a pumpkin. So go ahead and complete your book, and the little paper with you have to cut out the different stages of a pumpkin. So it talks about the seeds and how it grows and then finally becomes a pumpkin. So of course the pumpkins, when they start out, the flower, and then it turns into the green pumpkin. And then of course, you know what color it turns last. All right, enjoy that, and I miss you, and I will see you soon.